One team, undefeated. One team, 50% win rate. Who will win? I'm gonna guess it's pretty much Sengoku, to be fair. I don't know why we have this intro. Like, Sengoku are coming through, and they're just so good, right? I was gonna be like, maybe Burning Cook can win this. Like, I was thinking this. I was like, having some hopium, and I was like, Burning Core, back to 50%.
Yeah.
They're doing better. I feel like we were definitely like flaming them a lot at the start of the season. First 4 days, we were like, Burning Core, bro, what's going on here? Then obviously played V3 and Axis, which is what you have to look at here. Picked up some wins, 50%. Not bad. Better than CGA, better than Axis. We'll say Sengoku, top team. They have 6-0, which is why we have all predicted Sengoku for today. But never say never. Quote Justin Bieber.
Out of all the quotes, Jerry O'Reilly.
Oh my god.
Or are gonna win this game, RMC. How do you feel like they're gonna do this? What's their path to victory? Because there's always a path. There's always, if there's a will, there's a way. What's their way?
Okay, I think for Burning Core at this point, what you need to do is you need to buy a cow. Then you go build an altar. And then you sacrifice that cow onto said altar for whatever dark god is going to help you. Because I don't really see a good win con for them right now into Sengoku. This feels like actually the roughest possible matchup for Burning Core. Because the way Burning Core play is they have pretty strong individual players who can carry in any role. Guess what Sengoku have? Great individual players who can carry in every single role here. I mean, Sengoku's not the cleanest macro team. And so I feel like to beat Sengoku, either you need to have players similar in skill with better macro, or you need to just have amazing macro. And unfortunately for Burning Core, you kind of don't.
Yeah, and also Sengoku, like, we were talking about CGA in the last game day. We were talking about how they had got really, really good early games against most teams. And I feel like DFM was one of the teams we talked about that with, being like, okay, DFM actually not looking as early game focused as they previously were.
Yep.
Sengoku feels like a team where it's just like, I don't know if you've seen this meme, right? There's like this guy, and he used to do like the fake parody rap battles, and there's a bit where he's like, I bounced the ball, I shoot it, I missed it, and everyone's like, ooh, and that's kind of how like the early games sometimes feel with Sengoku. They're sometimes close, and then he's like, I swished it, and it's like, oh, and like that's literally Sengoku. Like the whole time, it's like, oh, they're playing okay. Oh, the mid game is looking like kind of, and then it's just 20 minutes, like 30 minutes on the clock. They've just won, and it's like, oh, okay. Like it doesn't matter what happened. They just won the game. Like it's all good. You know, that's how Sengoku feel. Middle court. Is there a way in your mind, or is it just Sengoku are just very dominant?
I think what we need to see from Burning Core is throwing caution to the wind. Because like RMC was talking about, RMC, Burning Core, not really the cleanest macro team, but they do have some skill in terms of their players. So I think if they go early game focus, play aggressive, try and build up a lead against Sengoku, I know RMC is grimacing, but I think that you've got the quality on this roster to, let's say, Dice or Rayfaki get significantly far ahead of their counterparts. I feel like you've got the quality there where you can bust open these matchups. I think it'll be difficult, and I don't think Sengoku will give you any easy opportunities, but that's why they're undefeated. They are just that damn good.
Fair enough. And I just do want to highlight one thing about Sengoku, though, is that they do have the highest goal difference at 15 middle con. So if you're going for the early game here, this is the toughest team to beat in the early game.
I see that, but you're not going to win at 20 minutes if they've already won the early game. Okay,
true.
See this is happening.
Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
There's potentially that side of like, okay, they're used to being ahead at 15 minutes. What happens if they aren't ahead of 15 minutes? You know, I think there's always that time where you could like take them into unknown waters. Maybe you find out that you're a shark that they can't handle. You know, maybe you're that great white rather than the basking, which is notoriously vegetarian. But it's a sentiment where, yeah, a bit of shark knowledge for you guys. It's a story where you learn a lot of things, okay? But anyway, going back to the point, I do think Sengoku are looking very strong, and it is very hard to be like, okay, they're going to win here, there, and everywhere, because genuinely, they have been so good. Even with the changes in the bot lane, they have still looked very, very strong. It is hard to say that they're going to not win this, but let's look at a different flavor, okay? What champion is Flawless going to pick today? RMC, who do you think he's going to lock in?
I'm not sure how we got here, but you know what? I want to see more Belveth. Actually, do I want to see Flawless play it? I feel like that's kind of a rough day for Belveth if they do. I just want to see more Belveth.
Farm until late game, win late game.
True, maybe. I would like to see Belveth, but I think more realistically, we're not going to see a new champion for Flawless. I think if Wukong's open and available, we're likely to see that picked up. Failing that, I'm expecting to see, the Viego come through, because LJL just seems to have that massive love affair with either Viego or Wukong right now.
Yeah, and then obviously, I will say DICE did perform really well last game day.
True,
and now,
true.
I know against Axis, but he really did pop off. There was a lot of potential in that one. I do feel like Burning Core are ramping up. We'll see how far the ramp has gone, though. Maybe they're not going to get to the peaks that Sengoku are at. But I do think that solo lanes and jungle does feel like the way for Burning Core. There is potential with DICE if he has a really good day. I think Rayfaki as well, if he gets onto a champion into a good matchup, could have a good time against Paz. But middle court, I'm getting ganked by Haver again. They're talking about the bot lane. Obviously, Yuhi Loser not had the greatest of times so far, and to be honest, Sengoku are looking very good in the bot lane, and I believe it's Vital that's going to be playing again today. But have you been impressed with Vital's performance so far in the league?
Vital's been a weird one for me, because I've liked a lot of what he's doing, but I'm watching the games thinking, Honey can do that. So I think the swap is... It's not negatively affecting Sengoku, at least from just what I've seen so far, but there's still that little bit of a question mark going, why have they actually done this? Maybe it's just a case of they want Honey to have a bit of rest, doesn't want to have too many games going on. The LJL schedule can be quite brutal with the games happening sort of every other day at points, so I think maybe that's what's going on. But speaking a bit more to the bot lane matchup, I actually think that Yuhi and Loser have done all right. I think Yuhi is... Once again, he's having a middling split, which for what our expectations are of this guy, it's absolutely excellent. And then the confidence that we've been seeing from Loser as soon as he's come into this league has been really great. He's had some great games on the Nautilus. That game on the Pike was very, very entertaining as well. And so this is what I want to see from Burning Core. I want to see this front footness. Yes, Sengoku were really, really strong in the early game, but if you're not playing with confidence, they're going to beat you in the mid game regardless.
Indeed. Well, we are going to see how they decide to lock in for this. We're going to be going to pick Ban, Sengoku, Burning Core. Who do you have as your winner? Middle Court RMC, take us into this game.
Hey, thank you very much, J-Real, as we are hitting champions, select multiple champions off of the table already. Burning Core targeting a few of those early game AD carries, while Sengoku making sure that Loser's not going to be piloting that Nautilus for a fourth time.
And hello, Wukong Ban from Burning Core on the blue side. That shocks me here, Middle Court, because we were just saying the LJL currently has a love affair with Wukong Viego, and Wukong 100% presence. If you're blue side right now, why would you ban this? It should always be a red side ban.
A little bit perplexing. Maybe Flawless just valuing something like the Viego, which like the Wukong scene is a decent answer into a lot, and deny away some of the proactivity that once has seen on that Wukong, 4 games played. So targeting it out more than anything, but I agree, taking it away on the blue side does feel a little bit weird. Seraphine.
Okay.
It's a weird one for me, RMC. I wouldn't really associate this with anyone on Burning Core.
Actually, yeah, that is true. I mean, Seraphine on patch 12.12 is incredibly strong. She actually got hot nerfed within this patch because she was that powerful. I think she's a perfectly fine B1 or R1. But you're right, Burning Core doesn't come to mind when we see this particular champion. Loser has been picking engaged champs, and Yuhi, has been looking pretty good on traditional marksman here. Maybe they're trying to leverage Yuhi's experience as both marksman and support, because ADC Seraphine is generally where she's been going in the current meta.
And I mean, when you are up against something like a Senna, you could opt for something like the Seraphine Sona, double dip into those enchanters in the bot lane, go for a bit more of a scaling lane up against NC and Vital, who shouldn't have too much pressure on you with this time Kench locked in as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sona Seraphine is absolutely disgusting. I see that you know the dark tech. Here's Middle Court. That's it. I would be surprised if we do see it. I'm actually not quite sure what they're pairing with this Seraphine because, like I said, I think AT carry or AP carry Seraphine is generally where she goes right now, and Loser doesn't strike me as somebody who's been playing a ton of enchanters either. Ashe Seraphine, so support Seraphine with Ashe, or could it be support Ashe? That is another bit of forbidden tech that's been coming into meta.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Imperial Mandate Ashe is back, and ARAM only players everywhere are crying. Very, very oppressive in long lanes. It looks like we are going to be getting a repeat of a Flawless Champion with that Lee Sin locked in. First time he's replied a champion in the 7 games so far.
Okay, well, hold up one second. I'm fine with the Seraphine Ashe priority over, you know, the Viego. But you are literally giving a free Viego to one, so has only played 2 champions at this point, Wukong and Viego. And secondly, why Lee Sin here? This would happen a great spot, potentially, for Bel'Veth when you've got this much CC, you've got this much backup from your team. Lee Sin doesn't offer you anything except for that early game here. So I feel like Burning Core kind of picking this Lee Sin does mean that their solo lanes, mid and top now, have to pick sort of carry damage style champions, and that will leave you rather squishy on the tankiness department here.
Well, I mean, you've got the shields and the Seraphine, but I agree you've not got the meatball that can just stand in front of the enemy team and take all the poke that is going to be coming out from this Corki that Jet has locked in. Again, a little bit off theme in terms of the champion picks here. This is not a pick that I'd usually associate with Jet.
No, not at all. And it certainly does surprise me because it feels like this Jet has been the premier mid laner in the LJL thus far, and it's been on aggressive champions like Sylas, Yone, Yasuo, Akali, picks like that which get in your face. Corki is the literal opposite. That's it. He has played Corki in spring and looked good on it. So it's not like he can't play it. It's just a very different approach from Sengoku, and from one of the fastest teams in the league, their comp is now looking like a very late scaling composition. So I expect to see a much slower game come out from them, and that gives Burning Core an opportunity to take advantage of that early game like you're calling for there, Middlecon.
Potentially where we're going to see some action going down as the Ahri and Darius have been taken off the board by Sengoku. Burning Core have responded with that Jarvan foreban, so the Viego is still on the table and they don't ban it away. I feel like they're almost daring Sengoku to pick it at this point.
Okay, yeah, I fully agree with you. I mean, yes, you can try to kind of run enchanters as a way to deal with Viego. What on earth?
What?
Where is this coming from? Zach? Is that top lane Zach or jungle Zach?
I don't know, RMC. We're going to find out very soon. What the holy... I have...
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless too, Middlecon. I'm praying that's top lane Zach and not like jungle Zach, because jungle Zach it does not do well into Lee Sin. Like that is a free engage for Lee Sin.
Yeah, we'll have to see as Dice is going to be playing the Sylas, so bit of a carry threat in that mid lane. Ultimates that you've got to take away. Not the best as it stands so far, but can do decently into that Corki as it's going to be the Sejuani for Ray Farkey in the top side. So I'm seeing a lot of CC for Burning Core already. Not a lot of damage though.
I mean, you got the Sylas, I guess, and Seraphine and Ashe both scale decently well. I think Ashe is an interesting AD carry because a lot of people forget that she actually does do a lot of damage late game here. She's just very immobile. And oh, it is going to be a jungle Zach. I am incredibly worried about this here, Middlecon. The GP pick is fine. I think Sengoku can afford it, you know, having some damage here. But yeah, jungle Zach doesn't work for so many reasons into Burning Core's composition. Sure, you've got great gank potential into lanes, and it's not like they're hyper mobile for the most part. But it's just that, like we said, for picking a Zac into a Lee Sin is very risky. Lee Sin can invade you quite easily, quite comfortably. When you both hit 6, Lee Sin's Dragon's Rage does more damage based on, you know, how tanky the target is that he kicks, and Zac is just going to build straight health pretty much. So, like I said, that's a free engage. That's free scaling damage here for that Lee Sin for Flawless. And even for mid lane, we're saying that Dice doesn't have a bunch of good ultimates to take. He kind of that bounce is not a bad one to take from that Zac. It actually makes him kind of hard to gank. And on top of that too, now with the GP cannon barrage, yeah, now Dice actually has more options. So Sengoku Big questions about their draw. Well, not big. Some questions about the
Some
draw,
questions.
specifically around once here.
It very much feels like Sengoku have gone, we're the strongest early game team in the LJL. How far can we push that? How much scaling can we put in our composition while still being able to accrue a lot of these early leads? Because I'm looking at GP, I'm looking at Corki, I'm looking at Senna.
Mhm.
These are champions that take a lot of time to get online. And obviously, you've already talked about how vulnerable Zach can be in the early stages. So I think if Burning Core can come out swinging, can come out playing very aggressive, then Sengoku are going to be running into a lot of problems in the early game.
Yeah, and you said it, Middle Cloud. If there's a way for Burning Core to win, it's by playing through that early game. And with Flawless, on this Lee Sin, you've actually got the lanes to enable it. Ashe Seraphine is rather oppressive early, even if it is traditional marksman Ashe and not Imperial Mandate support Ashe here. Her volley actually makes her one of the heaviest pokes of all the marksmen available, and Seraphine as well can put out a lot of that poke, so that will enable the Lee Sin topside. Sejuani does pretty well actually into most melee matchups, and even while GP has parlay to act as pseudo range, you have to keep in mind that early on GP doesn't have the mana to sustain that parlay poke, so it is effectively a melee matchup.
So very clear for Burning Core what they need to do. Be aggressive in these early stages, cause some problems, make Sengoku have to think on their feet. This isn't a team that find themselves behind in the early game too often. And maybe Burning Core can find their route to victory through those early stages. That ward being placed down by Dice is going to spot out once as he's continuing his clear.
Okay, and for now, it looks like both junglers starting on their respective blue sides here. And generally for a Zac, you actually don't gank that early. The really scary sort of slingshot ganks, which come out of seemingly nowhere, generally come around level 5 for Zac here. So I like that Burning Core, they're starting that top side full, is likely to look for that early gank bot. And we're just talking about the oppressiveness of Ashe Seraphine. If you can sneak into lane and land, that resonating strike or the Q onto Vitel there, that should be a very easy kill on this bot side for Burning Core.
And we did have the runes flash up just briefly there. Yuhi opting towards the Hail of Blades. So I think indexing into that aggressive style even more. With the approach velocity as well, you land the slow from one of your auto attacks and you can follow up with a couple more in very quick succession. And that means that whilst Vital and Enti do have some sustain in this lane, might not be enough to withstand what the Ashe can put out.
Yeah, 100%. When you run Domination Tree instead of Precision Tree on the Ashe, you're not looking to scale, because generally you actually run, Fleet Footwork if you're trying to survive lane, or Conqueror or Lethal Tempo if you're looking to scale up towards the later here. Hero of Blades, 100% you're looking for the early game here. So Burning Core should be looking for that. Instead, I actually kind of like this adaptation, because I don't think Paz was expecting it. I certainly wasn't.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the remove scurvy available, and the GP is just going to die. First blood for Flawless on the Lee Sin. We wanted to see early action from Burning Core, already getting it in the top lane.
And that's Paz just being slightly disrespectful there, right? Like, you didn't quite know where Flawless was starting, but you can't just be pushing out that far without vision. The ward was in place, so Flawless probably wasn't intending to gank top early, but when Paz is just that far out with no vision, you gotta go for it. And nice early first blood as well onto Flawless here, who will be able to transition that into the other lanes with ganks.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to as... oh, my lord. Poke is so oppressive from this bot lane as once making his way towards this top side scuttle. Obviously not going to be getting too much done on the early stages on this Zac. And this wave for Rayfaki not going to be in the most beneficial position for him. Might have to teleport back to break that freezer. Otherwise, Paz is going to be getting a lot of CS here on the GP.
Wait, hold up 1 second here, Middle Claw. I just realized Hill of Blades Ashe, but that is support Ashe. That is the support item that Yuhi's running here.
Shit.
So, you know what? I like Imperial Mandate Ashe. I actually think it's the better Ashe right now.
Okay.
But generally, you don't run Hill of Blades with that. Or as far as I knew, it was Arcane Comet, I thought, was the rune of choice generally for poke there. So very surprised by that. And now it changes things up as well. Because sure, you're landing a lot of those auto attacks, but you're not going to do as much damage with them.
We're going to be doing some learning on stream today, RSC. Working out quite what he wants to get from this Ashe build. It's just really not fun to watch again. So we're starting to see a bit of a CS discrepancy emerge here. NT on 23, basically down a wave to Loser, who does have a lot of engage potential on this Seraphine. We said that Enchanter's maybe not his sort of style, but the Encore, absolutely a tool that he's going to love using.
Yeah, and it's not even just about the Encore anymore, because when you pair it with an Ashe, the beat drop is always going to be a root every single time. It's not even the slow anymore, because now Yuhi's always going to get the slow down for you to get the stun. So this bot lane almost becomes a pseudo kill lane here. Anytime Flawless is down there, or even if Dice starts looking at that bot side with that TP, we could see action here. But for now, Flawless, with that full clear, did not actually gank the bot lane at the end of the day. And that worries me a little bit here, Middlecott, because as a Lee Sin, you do want to get early action down.
Yeah, and just the one kill, probably not enough at that point. Although, this does actually mean, with this Ashe going support, that we're getting Yuhi support again. And it's not Gent for Burning Course, so we have got a new bot lane rotation for the blue side team. Let's see how successful this one is going to be, as once level 5 now on the Zac, where he can start thinking about these ganks with the elastic slingshot. But Flawless is waiting in the wings around mid lane, and in the 1v1, the Lee Sin absolutely monsters the big green blob.
So Middlecott, we had questions about Yuhi support coming into the season, if it would be any good, and it didn't look any good initially, but Burning Core is just 5-braiding us here. They were playing the long god. They're just getting ready, for this sort of support Ashe meta where Yuhi gets to leverage both his AD carry and support experience. Ooh, there's that combo we were talking about. NT going to eat a bit of poke for that failed engage.
Yeah, now Flawless waiting in the rings around mid lane. Jet does still have flash available, and there's no kick available for the Lee Sin, so it's going to be a fair bit of damage onto the Corki, but not much more.
And Flawless kind of showing there is going to give a free dragon over to Sengoku. There's no Herald to worry about here, and once had mostly cleared his top sides, only the Krugs left for Flawless to take. Now Paz, with good back timing as well, recognizing that, hey, with that Lee Sin top side, it's a little bit risky. I could potentially get dove. Let's play this safe. Let's back off for now.
Yeah, and as Sengoku pick up this early dragon, you have to be feeling that Flawless hasn't really done very much with that early kill that he got. Like, when you're ganking top lane at level 3, you imagine that there's going to be some more action across the rest of the map, but it's been 4 minutes and he's yet to impact another lane.
Yeah, should have picked Belveth. And, you're saying too that Sengoku, they're kind of limit testing a bit, going like, hey, how much can we get away with early game with a full 5 scaling draft here? I'd say they're getting away with absolute murder right now. They're not falling behind whatsoever. Paz about to walk face first into Flawless, but Wraith Barky isn't here.
Yeah, the slow not even going to come through from that cripple, and wasted time for Flawless on the top side. He's going to have to clear towards the bottom half of the map now. That Gromp just coming up, and it's been slower than I would have liked for Burning Core, but like you mentioned, Sengoku are going to be very, very happy about this. One of our stronger early game teams, and that doesn't just come from your ability to make plays in the early stages, but it can also just come from how strong your laners are and your ability to withstand early pressure that other teams are putting out.
For sure. And one thing I feel like Gold Difference at 15 doesn't tell you is generally how these compositions roll. So if you've got a full 5 skill composition like Sengoku here, being down 500 gold means absolutely nothing, right? The fact that they're not really losing anybody, and look at those CS numbers, they're pretty much even across the board here. That's a win as far as they're concerned. Now, it is worth noting that Burning Core is starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Herald has spawned, and they've rotated Yuhi up here.
Ooh, going for a dive onto a level 6 Seraphine is pretty risky here. Sengoku Vital taking a load of damage from that tower shot, and yeah, a little bit of a flub. They're not really too sure what they're trying to achieve. Once is here though, is going to be able to get on top of Loser. There goes the railgun as well. The Encore is going to be used though to buy some time. The Zac with the Let's Bounce will go into the passive form. There's no one here to do the damage. The tower is hitting onto him fairly well, but NT is going to be here with a Devour. No, not quite in time. The dashboard, the flash, the heal. Yuhi, not quite enough to keep his support alive for Sengoku. They make the play work in the bot lane, but my, oh my, was it a little bit over-aggressive now. Dice starting to roam down from the mid lane. The health bars are very low, but once with that elastic slingshot, just able to get away.
And middle caught. This is why Sengoku's top of the table. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands here, but Yuhi doesn't have enough damage. Will have to drop this one. Yuhi, you're taking so much minion damage, mate. Don't do this. Okay, he's fine. But yeah, this is Sengoku in a nutshell. These are plays that shouldn't work. The macro was not clean. The dive was not clean. NT took turret shots for no reason. Vital took a turret shot as well and was absolutely low. I mean, NT tanked 2 turret shots here. I don't know why. You had minions already. If you're gonna dive, dive properly, and then Vital taking the extra one makes this dive not clean. And then once committing to this as well, there's no full up, there's no minion wave, so once diving in has to soak everything on this particular play. So this should go very, very poorly for the side of Sengoku. It should be a nice, easy wipe, but look at the micro play here. Once diving in to allow Vital to get in there, get that last shot, the Devar waiting and ready from NT. They do it so cleanly, and they get everyone out here. That is absolutely criminal, and it's the reason why Sengoku, despite not having the best macro in the league, have managed to beat teams even like TFM.
Just making it work, even in situations where they shouldn't. RMC, Flawless has just bought a Prowler's Claw. So if this Lee Sin wasn't doing too much, now we need to see it doing stuff, because that extra mobility, that extra damage that you get from this Mythic is so important. But when you go for these squishier, more damage-focused Lee Sin builds, you can fall off if you are not careful. NT being slowed, stunned up with the beat droppers. Here comes Flawless. The kick throws back, and he's just able to die. No time to dash away as Loser claims the kill.
Well, say what you want about Burning Core here, but they're never a team that sits back and just lets the game happen to them here. And Flawless's Prowler's Claw is a declaration of that here. We will force plays one way or another. And I love to see it because it enables them to look for these sort of more force plays with that burst here. Once coming in just to protect Vital. Actually, almost takes out
damage. The Encore as well, but Burning Core not really finding anything. A bit of a disengage. Rift Herald is going to be summoned, but there's not quite enough damage taken off that tower for the blue side team to secure first brick.
Yeah, I was wondering if they're actually going to try and push in with Herald a little bit harder there, but it's a good call that Burning Core don't overstay their welcome on that bot side there. And that's one of the things with that Prowler's Claw, right? You're going in for quick little skirmishes, quick little bursts. Don't overstay here, because that active does take a while to come back up.
As Ray Farkey trading up with Paz in the early stage. This Sejuani not been able to exert too much pressure onto the GPU, who's obviously going to be scaling pretty nicely. Once now, starting up this Drake would be second of the game if Sengoku were able to pick this one up. And looking at where Flawless is running, Burning Core either don't know or don't care to contest this Drake.
Yeah, they can't really go for it. The moment they made that bot side push, they had already sacrificed the Drake at that point. Yuhi going back to base right there, and Flawless wasn't in the best position either to contest it. So that's fine. You're going to give that up for now. I believe that's Mountain that we see.
Well, we'll look at the Rift in a little bit.
Oh, no, it's Hextech, sorry.
Hextech, okay. We got the gates.
So, yeah. So for Burning Core, this is actually perfectly fine for them. If they don't want to take those early dragons, you just stack the Hextech instead. I think it's a better combat Drake. My only concern for them is that you're the early game team and you didn't take the early Drakes. And now third Drake on, it's going to be hard for you to contest against the scaling of Sengoku.
It's going to be potentially difficult for you to escape from this gank. That was very nicely done by Loser. The movement, burning the cannon barrage as well. So Sengoku visiting this bot lane, not really finding too much, and that's going to free up Flawless to get some vision in this top side. Maybe actually look for a play onto Jet here. There's a lot of damage that can come out from this Lee Sin. Dice as well has the flash. The Valkyrie away from Jet is enough to get him out of dodge, but it's very close. We've got to be careful for the Sengoku mid laner.
Jet playing that so well. As soon as Dice walked up, before he saw Flawless, you already saw him shading bot side. That's just instinct right there, because I don't think they actually had vision at all on Flawless bot side.
NT jumping onto you. He is going to be able to eat him up. The Encore comes through, but it's not enough to protect the Ashe. Once jumps in for a little bit of fun, and it's Vital with his second kill of the game.
Yeah, and now Loser has to be careful, because they could potentially look for this dive. They do need to set it up right. They're walking in the minions this time here, and Loser knows that Once is in the wings.
Oh, Dice just TP to mid lane. There's no one coming to bail out this Seraphine. It is another kill for Sengoku in a bot lane dive. This one looked a little bit cleaner, though.
Wait, that had to be miscommunication from Burning Core there, because I don't think Loser should be sticking around if Dice is going to TP mid, right? So it feels like Loser's like, okay, I'm going to stick around, Dice, you can cover, right? And Dice is like, nope, I'm going mid. And it's too late, you can't get out. Now top side
Paz flashing away. In goes Flawless there with the Prowler's Call, but Burning Core attacking so much damage, he misses the resonating crazy power shot comes through, stays alive as here comes Dice to make the play work. What the hell was that Dice, Burning Core?
That was an attempt from Burning Core. And they're just trying to pick up the pace here, middle call. They don't have a choice. I think they've realized that, especially with that bot side play going south for them and Loser getting dead, they realized that, hey, we need to make a play somewhere else, or else Sengoku are just going to start snowballing up and away. Our bot side's already losing to the point where Vital and NT alone win that 2v2. Mid lane as well, Jet is scaling up. We need to make a play. So they went for the top side. And this time, the coordination with Dice is right. Dice is there to clean up and will actually take the second turret of the game, but the first for Burning Core.
Yeah, and that's gold onto the Silas, which is kind of where you want it, looking to be the main carry, the main damage threat, I feel, for Burning Core, at least in terms of this composition. 15 minutes on the clock. The game, pretty even. A small gold advantage for Burning Core, but Sengoku have got those two Drakes in their pocket and the scaling composition as well. So, like you said, Burning Core, they need to keep upping their tempo. Otherwise, Sengoku are just going to run away with this game once we hit the 25-30 minute mark.
Yeah, and right now, I'm kind of just watching Jet's build right here. When that Mirror Mana is complete, I think that's really when Burning Core run out of time. So keep an eye on that. That's your timer. And until then, Burning Core can still make all the proactive plays they want. We're seeing Herald being taken by Flawless right now. And I kind of want to see them, after they take Herald, to brute force mid lane a little bit here. I think you can catch out Sengoku at this point. And in a 5v5 at this point, because Dice has been a little bit accelerated here, we are actually stronger.
And I think Sengoku potentially realizing that, as once not going to opt into the river, not going to try and contest Flawless over that buff. And with the pings going down, it looks like mid lane is the destination. I think for Burning Core, once these outer towers do go down, the game is going to look a lot better for them. Because stuff like the Sejuani, stuff like the Ashe and the Lee Sin, great at finding picks. And when your enemy is forced to face check into their own jungle, it's a lot easier to get those picks going.
Yeah, and for Burning Core as well, you kind of want your lanes to be able to rotate here. If they're stuck in lane, it's not ideal. Paz here.
Oh, teleport is going to come down. Flawless immediately flashing away. Rayfaki just committing to take the tower, cancelling the TP, and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to buy more time for Burning Core. Once kicked back into the team as here goes the rest of the summoner spells, the rest of the TPs being expended. Multiple Burning Core members joining this play.
Vital.
Oh, catching out Vital. So much damage as there goes the encore, but it's not enough. Jet turns around the play with the rockets and secures the kill. And now NT running over, has the Abyssal Voyage on the Tahm Kench. The Hex Gates are coming through. Sengoku, there the fist, looking to collapse onto Burning Core, who have nowhere to retreat to. Teleport is going to come out for Rayfaki. The Sejuani needs to be the vanguard, needs to be the bastion protecting Burning Core. And it's just enough to dissuade the aggression from Sengoku. What a crazy play in the bot side.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight Rayfaki just going for the turret instead. This is why I love Rayfaki, not because he wins the 1v1s, but his decision-making, man, is so clean. Dragon being taken here, and Burning Core might want to keep this going.
Yeah, NT just about within range on this Tahm Kench. Enchanted Crystal is going to stun him, and there goes the Sejuani stun as well. Not a lot of damage from Burning Core as they're slow playing this fight. Dice is eventually going to turn up. There's the Glacial Prison, and they can't kill the support.
Wait, I kind of want them to replay in slow-mo, or just so we can count how much CC NT just ate there, because it felt like Enchanted Crystal Arrow. I think there was maybe, do we get the replay on this? No, okay, it's the bot play. Okay, we'll talk about this, and maybe we'll get to count how much CC on NT. So this particular play, Rayfaki, absolutely brilliant. Going for the demolition turret. Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but it changes the entirety because it cancels the TP. Now you've got the numbers advantage. Now you can actually look for this fight where otherwise you'd have been wiped. And under that pressure to make that call, absolutely brilliant. And even this from Dice too, this should have been a nice easy kill. But the heal, there is no healing cut on Vital here, and the healing is sufficient. The CC is sufficient, and Dice ends up going down. If not, this was everything Burning Core was looking for. And then of course now we have the extended chase away here. And again, thankfully, Jet didn't have his items just yet, because if Jet had the items right there, I do think Sengoku would have pushed the issue a lot harder. There was no outer turret to save Burning Core, and even the TP from Ray Farkey probably wouldn't have been sufficient to survive that 5v4.
RMC, I've got some bad news for you. Jet has his items now. The Muramana completed, the Immortal Shield Bow a little bit less common on the Corki now than it was in days past, but it's still a 2-item Corki, which is still meaning bad things for your team.
Yeah, it's an older build, but you know what? I'll say it checks out, especially if Jet wants to play aggressively and wants to actually package into the backline. And if you look at his positioning that last fight too, Jet was looking for the solo Corki flank. And if you're not running Shield Bow and you're looking for a Corki flank, you're kind of inting. So I'm okay with that.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, we said that Corki maybe wasn't a Jet champion. We were wrong. It's just there's a way that Jet can play the Corki, which makes it a Jet champion. We don't care about Luden and Zeko here. We need a shield because we're probably going to be running in 1v5. Baron has just spawned. I think it would be a little bit eager for Sengoku to go for this one, especially with Flawless summoning that Rift Herald in the mid lane. Burning Core making their intentions clear. They want this tower.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel bad for Flawless because actually normally that is a good position to drop Herald. It's almost a guaranteed charge, but the minion wave just came at the worst possible time and they didn't track that carefully enough. Really well played from Sengoku. They take that out and now Burning Core are just kind of left twiddling their thumbs because the whole point of that Herald was to give them the pressure, crack that mid lane outer, and then opens up the map for Burning Core like you mentioned before. They failed to do that and now Sengoku can just go back to that holding pattern where they get to continue skilling for free. And that is not what Burning Core wants to see.
We're getting into the proactivity diff, I guess is the term. Burning Core, they know that they want to do something. They know that they should be doing something, although at the moment they don't really possess the ability to do anything. And I think that's what separated teams like your Burning Cores and your CJs and your Hawks at points from your teams like your DFMs and your Sengokus. It's just that ability to actually find the go buttons when you recognize that you need to be doing stuff.
Yeah, or recognizing what your comp and how your comp wants to do. Because this game, we've not seen Sengoku press the go button. Because they don't need to. Their comp doesn't care about it. Now, Dice, we saw this literally on day 6 against the Victor. Oh, he can't land anything. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm crying right now for Dice, because if he makes that play, if he gap closes, Jet dies, right? We saw that against the Victor on day 6, right? If you can gap close as the Silas, you win the fight. Didn't land a single thing, and now Jet just gets to reset. And now, Once is sitting by waiting to try and punish. They don't know that Dice is already ditched, though.
Yeah, he's out of there. He's gone. He's gone.
Yep.
Don't need to worry about him. You do need to worry about this Hextech Drake spawning in 40 seconds, though. It would be soul point for Sengoku. And whilst they are the team that have felt in control of this game, if we're talking about objective power, with the 2-item completions for multiple members of Burning Core, it's definitely a way that they can play out this fight.
Yeah, this is a kind of risky fight here for Burning Core. This could be the tipping point as Sengoku scaling comes online, but they are still strong. And, you know, with that Sejuani, with that Seraphine, their AoE, their team fighting especially, is good.
Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto the backliners. Once dives in and finds absolutely no one. The Stolen Cannon Barrage is going to buy a little bit of space for Burning Core, as Jet's poke really not as impactful as it would be if he'd gone for Leludens on this Corki. Once pretty low, that's one of your main engage tools, and whilst he is going to be fairly tanky with the Aftershock, not going to be able to stand in the front line as long as you would like. Sengoku, though, they're not giving up position, and these rockets from Jet, they still hurt.
Yeah, and Once needs to get back to the rest of the team so that he can get healed up by Vital here. Because right now, it's a battle of sustain from both these teams here. And Sengoku's winning it.
Yeah, they're absolutely winning it. The Zac jumps into the pit. The Drake, though, it's not going low enough. Finally secured by Flawless as Burning Core deny the assault, and they may look for the re-engaged Dice. Flashing away as Jet going forward isn't quite able to find the kill. And now the Lee Sin is also diving forwards. The slows from Yuhi enough to keep Burning Core alive as they look for the re-engage. The Eat by NT keeps his mid laner alive. And Sengoku, they don't get the Drake, but they don't lose anything else.
Wait, I'm actually... Okay, so that's the first Drake that Burning Core has picked up. That is... what is the teleport?
Dice? What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? That TP sucked.
yeah, that was not rolling a deep. That was just straight up inting there. Like
That was a nat 1.
as I was gonna say, is that a nat 1 though? Because I don't care if you rolled a nat 6, you're not getting out of that situation. You're going in 1v5 on a turret that's almost dead already. If anything, the best case scenario for DICE would have been the turret dropping there. Massive, massive question marks. And okay, so this dragon fight is really, really interesting in the first place because Sengoku are the ones who are actually forced to go in and take this fight here because they got pushed out, because once didn't have enough health. And so Burning Core won that particular fight here, but the follow-up fight went poorly for them here, unfortunately. Loser doesn't manage to get that critical encore there, or that could have absolutely wiped them. And they take it, they're pushing in, they're pressing their advantage here. But beyond that, they're too low, and they lost the inside track, which was what allowed Sengoku to still kind of walk away from that lost dragon going, you know what, we're fine with this. We're still ahead as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, and we've got to that 25-minute point, and it's now Sengoku who have got the gold leads, 2,000 in their favor, and the champions that they've got are just going to be stronger at this point in the game. Jet is, well, he's just completed that Essence Reaver, so the Corki is well and truly online at this point. And looking across the side of Burning Core, they've not really got the tools to deal with this threat.
No, we already saw from that poke battle. Sure, you've got some poke with Yuhi. Yuhi actually getting 2 enchanted crystal arrows off in that standoff there. But you compare that to the Corki and the GP as well for Paz here, who's completed the Mortal Reminder as well to cut the healing coming through from Loser. And suddenly, well, Burning Core have to start picking their fights. They can't afford to go for that standoff anymore.
Oh, DICE being caught out on the top side. The Let's Bounce so much damage. Dropped onto the Silas's head. And when DICE needs to be the main carry, needs to be dealing the damage for Burning Core, dying like that whilst your team is so scattered across the map is just going to open up this Baron for Sengoku, and Burning Core need to respond to this, but this is going down way too quickly.
No, they didn't even have vision in the area. So the moment DICE went down, like they just weren't ready to handle this. And now Sengoku has to be a little bit careful here. They don't want to lose this to a random steal.
Oh no,
Okay.
Oh, it was so close, but the smite clean enough from once to take out the worm. Flawless now going to be chased down. Multiple members committing forward for Sengoku
TP.
to kill the Burning Core jungler, and they're not stopping with him. Yuhi now in the middle of absolutely nowhere as Loser gets blown up as well. 2 dead for Burning Core as Rayfaki is going to get the gate out of there. He's running away with his tail between his legs.
Oh, really good call from Rayfaki to take that gate. Even while being chased, there wasn't any CC to stop him here. And now DICE is on the side. DICE might get collapsed on.
Yeah, he might be collapsing onto Paz, though, as it's a fair chunk of damage out from the Silas, but it's not quite enough. You get the 1 kill, but you're going to be falling in trade, and now Rayfaki, in the midst of everybody, is going to be dying as well. Burning Core, a little bit late on that proactive stuff. We needed that 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, and if anything, like we said with Burning Core, you can accuse them of a lot of things, but not being proactive is not one of them. I mean, yes, they were trying to be proactive 15 minutes ago, middle caught. It just didn't pan out. And now when they probably shouldn't be trying some of these proactive plays, they're still going for it here. I mean, this replay, it's a nice Baron take. Flawless actually gets kind of close, you know, with the take there, considering it's blind. And I think part of this after this play was just Burning Core trying to buy time for this mid turret take here. You see Flawless kind of dash back and you know you're dead. You're just trying to buy Yuhi and Loser time to take that mid lane turret. The problem though is that you're so immobile that it doesn't matter. The moment they stayed to take the turret, they were dead to rights, and hence the series of events.
And I think this has really spoken to a lot of the problems that we've had with Burning Core as a team, right? We know that individually they're fine players, and we saw that in the laning phase that they were able to accrue some advantages. They weren't falling down in matchups where maybe you would expect them to, but they just don't look as coordinated as someone like Sengoku once it gets to this point in the game where individual skill is a bit less important than overall team cohesion. Hextech Drake on the Rift now. This would be solved for Sengoku, and Burning Core setting up a little bit of a trap here.
Yeah, you can't give this over for free, and Sengoku know it, so they're taking it nice and slow. Jet has package as well, so they're looking for the conclusive fight here, and if Jet hits that back line,
Yeah, he's going in. He's going to find so much damage. The Silas can't do anything. 1v1 by the Corki, who's now going to be caught out with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. But NT, with the is able to protect his mid lane to transport him back to the other side of the fight. As now Paz is forced to flash back. This is happening on multiple angles, and none of them are going well for Burning Core. Ray Farkey dashes into the pit to his death, and Flawless is going to be falling as well. Yuhi, the last man left standing, but not for long as NT knocks him up. And Jet takes him down. Clean stuff for Sengoku.
Beautiful, beautiful from Sengoku. And now they can just end the game, honestly, here. This dragon is kind of gratuitous, but it is going to be so for them here, which is pretty massive because now any fight goes in their favor. So despite them not quite ending, they're going to take an inhibitor, and they can just group up and push any lane here middle caught. Burning Core, they're past their expiration date at this point. You aren't going to be able to match.
Yeah, it doesn't taste good. The milk has gone sour. As, I mean, Sengoku are just looking oh so sweet. I like Burning Core here. They were trying to set up these flank angles, trying to do something. But honestly, I just don't think they really had a proper handle on Jet's damage.
No, and the other problem too is when you want to set up a flank, what you have to be worried about is the enemy team just collapsing on one side or the other. And that's in a usual standard 4-1 flank, right? And then your one person just kind of runs away. The 4 tries to hold to allow that one side. But the flank from Burning Core was split 3 and 2. So no matter which direction Sengoku runs towards, you have to run. You can't hold the 4v5 and allow the flank. And that was not an ideal start. Then that's not to mention, of course, as you pointed out, that Jet is just so far ahead. And that Immortal Shield Bow is coming in handy. It allows you to go in on a Silas in that wasn't even a 1v1. That was a 2v1 situation. And this is why Jet is the best mid laner in the LJL currently.
I mean, absolutely cracked out of his mind. 7-0-5 currently on the Corki. Shout out to Vital as well, who's been putting up some pretty impressive numbers on this Senna 2, 6-0-9. It really feels like, despite all of the roster shuffling that Sengoku have been doing this split, that whatever roster they are putting out on the Rift is going to be just oh so clean and oh so practice. Now taking down that outer tier 2, you can see how much damage the Hextech Soul is doing, and Burning Core, they're praying for a miracle at this point.
Flawless is on the side trying to be that miracle. Here's that 4-1 flank we were talking about, but Flawless might get caught out.
Not quite. Once thinking better of it. As the wave being cleared in that top side, Burning Core have got a decent bit of wave clear. It's all right, especially when you are going for a bit more of an AP build on this Seraphine, but it's just one engage, it's just one pick, and then Sengoku can, well, push down any lane they like and end this damn game.
Pretty much. Interesting choice from Sengoku that they've actually sent Paz back to defend that turret here, because it does mean that they can't push anymore, and there's no TP on Paz. So the Baron buff actually going to wear out without Sengoku being able to maximize that. And Burning Core, you've got a bit of breathing room now. The problem is, where do you go from here? You can probably hold your lanes quite decently. If Sengoku couldn't break you with Baron, it's going to be harder without it. But when that Baron comes back up, when that Dragon comes back up here, Burning Core, you won't have that safety of turrets when you try and contest those objectives.
You're talking about breathing room, but I feel like that's in the context of the coffin that Burning Core already find themselves in. Once diving forward, NT's here as well, but the kiting from Burning Core just enough to prevent the engage from coming through in full force. Committing ultimates onto NT once again. We've seen how this goes before. You can't kill the Kenchers once. Is causing chaos in the backline. The Encore only going to be hitting onto one as the railgun enough to keep the big green blob alive. And now Jet's here. He could start dealing the damage, removing health bars from Summoner's Rift. Dice goes golden for a moment before he is blown up. Burning Core, wow, I don't really have anywhere to go now. Jet going to be chasing down Flawless. I think these Nexus Towers a little bit more important than that Lee Sin, as in comes the dive from once again, followed up by NT. Flawless, still guiding around Jet, doing everything he wants to, but it's not going to be enough to save this game.
No, and Jet's just trying to make sure that Flawless can't go home, right? Oh, Sengoku, don't do this. Don't do this, BM. Take the Nexus.
Just kill it. No, come on. Ray Farkey's pretty tanky. Like, you can't kill the Sejuani, man.
Yeah, not in turret.
Just kill the Nexus. Oh, my word. Got a little bit funky from Sengoku at the end there, but fundamentally, that is what the best team in the LJL looks like.
Pretty much, and really well played. I mean, we don't see them often go for these sort of big scaling compositions here, but they played it really, really well. Early game, they soaked the pressure. They got the appropriate ganks as well. I love the fact that once kept revisiting that bot lane, made what could otherwise have been a losing lane for them a winning lane. The Ashe Seraphine never really got to take off. It's not meant to be just a utility bot lane here. It's actually meant to do damage and get push prio.
And I mean, outside of the first 5 minutes, we didn't really see that happening too much. And once again, it's the story as it has been for Burning Core so many times. You can see that the individual talent is there on this roster. That you've got players that can stand up against the likes of Paz, against the likes of Jet, but fundamentally, when more than 3 of you are on the same screen, everything just seems to fall apart. And Sengoku are going to capitalize on that in pretty disgusting fashion.
I mean, in this game, Middlecon, I feel like only Ray Parkey really matched well in lane, right?
I mean,
And granted,
Silas was doing all right. He was doing fine, I guess.
let's see. I mean, Dice did fine in lane-ish, but then but Jet just needed to scale, and we saw the 1v1s between the Corki and Silas later on. And that's considering Silas was a scaling champion as well. Yuhi Loser, I guess, did kind of okay. You could blame that on jungle, I think, partially.
Yeah, just blame it on jungle.
Yeah. One's got it there.
Best way to review any game. We are going to be talking a bit more about that game in a few minutes' time after this short break. Don't go anywhere. J-Real will be joining us in a few minutes.
Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the
We asked for some spicy games on the final day of the first round robin, and we are getting them. Maybe not as hype as a game, but definitely a very hype draft. I feel like there were some interesting picks from both sides, and to be fair, Burning Core, at least they gave it a good shot. But let's get into the draft. Let's start with Burning Core, because they had a few more things. Ashe, Seraphine, bot lane, sending Yuhi back into the support position. Middlecott, how are you kind of feeling about these picks, first of all, and then we'll talk about the swap?
I mean, so in terms of the picks, I love it. When you're going up against Sengoku, it's difficult to try and win in a traditional manner. And I think for Burning Core, at least on paper, Ray Farkey and Dice should have decent matchups against Paz and Jet. Maybe not going to be winning them entirely, but the real
Mhm.
difference across the map is in this bot lane. I think Vital and NT are just a couple of tiers above Yuhi and Loser. So giving Yuhi and Loser something that's going to be pretty safe in lane and is going to scale very, very well. I love it as an idea. I think the way that Burning Core played around it left a lot to be desired, though.
Yeah, and RMC, are you of a similar opinion? Do you feel like this swap was maybe a bit weird, or do you feel like actually it was just down to the fact that, you know what, NT and Vital are just really, really good?
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of the sort of Ashe Seraphine swap, Yuhi going back to support, I thought that's the right way to do it, honestly. Like we had said before, the Ashe support's just really, really strong, and I think Yuhi's just better on marksman in general. But yeah, Vital and NT are just really good, and I don't even think it's a 2v2. I do think it's just how jungle played around it actually more than anything else. The fact that
Mhm.
despite being on that Lee Sin, that early game ganking jungler, Flawless didn't really get much pressure down, and instead we saw once on the Zac, which isn't an early game jungler, getting more of that early game pressure down in that bot side.
Yeah, and that's where we have to go next. Zac being locked in here. First of the split, maybe even first of the year for the LJL.
Yeah.
I'm not fully sure. I'd have to stat check that one from Spring Split, but for summer, for sure, we've
Yeah.
not seen a Zac on the Rift. Middlecourt, how are you feeling about this pickup? Obviously, it was a bit surprising.
Well, I mean, if you're not going to invade the Zac for like the first 10 minutes, then yeah, it looks like an absolutely amazing pick. And I think once played it really well in terms of the fights. You did see bits of the Lee Sin into Zac interaction actually favoring the Lee Sin at points. There was, I think, a fight around the Hextech Drake that Burning Cool were able to secure, where Flawless is able to kick once out of the pit and take the Drake for himself. But aside from that, the pick looked absolutely great. It gave Sengoku a strong engage option, which otherwise I feel like this composition kind of lacks. And it's something that could stand in front of, well, the honestly meager damage that Burning Core were putting out.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, we said to beat Sengoku, maybe we look at the early game, maybe they look to really try and snowball. Sengoku, I feel like, gave them all of that opportunity. I feel like they drafted very late game, they drafted Gangplank Center. As we said, Zac, not the greatest early game. They gave them the opportunity, they gave them the space, and it wasn't able to be really turned around there. RMC, Sengoku, it almost feels like they're undefeatable.
A little bit. And while I agree with what you're saying, J-Real, in terms of picks and bans, in terms of the draft, Sengoku gave Burning Core that space. I'll say in game, that wasn't the case. I think Sengoku knew jolly well what they were doing. And sure, we gave up all scaling lanes. We gave you an easy jungle. But if you look at the way the lane states played out, Sengoku made it very difficult for Flawless to look for any ganks. It felt like anytime Flawless was looking for a gank, it was turret dives all the way. And we saw, multiple times when ever Flawless showed up thinking of wanting to gank, Sengoku just knew exactly which way to go. I recall that mid lane gank, especially, they were looking for the dive. Jet instantly pilots away without any vision. They go for the gank at the top side, and Paz just kind of goes, okay, you know what, you're there. I'm going to try and outplay this. Doesn't quite survive it, but still manages to survive at least a 1v2. It took Dice coming up to clean house here. So I think Sengoku, yeah, it's if they can do this with these sort of drafts, knowing exactly what they're looking for here, it does make them look undefeatable because their mechanics individually are just so good.
Yeah, they are really performing super well. And to be fair, I'm excited to see them play DFM again. I feel like DFM are really the only team that can hard talk and test them. At the moment, it does feel like they are in a little bit of a league of their own. And we'll have to see how that one does pan out for the future. But it's nice to see some fresh blood in the challenge.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a big DFM cycle for a few years. And now Sengoku turning up, definitely showing that they are definitely someone to watch out for. I wouldn't say dark horse because I feel like they're a little bit more in the open than that one. But with that being said, that is going to be our second game for today. Thank you very much, Middlecourt and RMC, for having some great games, kicking off the last day of the first round robin. But we're going to be saying goodbye to you two, so adios to you guys. We'll be seeing you shortly, I'm sure of. But we're going to go for a short break. We'll be coming back with two new casters and game 3 after this one.